on my desk in my office, I keep a small clay pot that I made in college. It's raku, which is a kind of pottery that began in Japan centuries ago as a way of making bowls for the Japanese tea ceremony. This one is more than 400 years. Old. Each one was pinched or carved out of a ball of clay, and it was the imperfections that people cherished. Everyday pots like this cup take 8 to 10 hours to fire. I just took this out of the kiln last week, and the kiln itself takes another day or two to cool down, but raku is really fast. You do it outside, and you take the kiln up to temperature in 15 minutes. It goes to 1500 degrees, and as soon as you see that the glaze has melted inside, you can see that faint sheen. You turn the kiln off, and you reach in with these long metal tongs. You grab the pot, and in Japan, this red-hot pot would be immediately immersed in a solution of green tea. And you can imagine what that steam would smell like. But here in the United States, we ramp up the drama a little bit, and we drop our pots into sawdust, which catches on fire, and you take a garbage pail and you put it on top, and smoke starts pouring out. I would come home with my clothes reeking of wood smoke. I love raku because it allows me to play with the elements. I can shape a pot out of clay and choose a glaze, but then I have to let it go to the fire and the smoke. And what's wonderful is the surprises that happen, like this crackle pattern, because it's really stressful on these pots. They go from 1500 degrees to room temperature in the space of just a minute. Raku is a wonderful metaphor for the process of creativity. I find in so many things that tension between what I can control and what I have to let go happens all the time. whether I'm creating a new radio show or just at home negotiating with my teenage sons. When I sat down to write a book about creativity, I realized that the steps were reversed. I had to let go at the very beginning, and I had to immerse myself in the stories of hundreds of artists and writers and musicians and filmmakers. And as I listened to these stories, I realized that creativity grows out of everyday experiences more often than you might think, including letting go. We're supposed to break, but that's okay. That's part of the letting go, is sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. Because creativity also grows from the broken places. The best way to learn about anything is through stories. And so I want to tell you a story about work and play and about 4 aspects of life that we need to embrace in order for our own creativity to flourish. The first embrace is something that we think, oh, this is very easy. But it's actually getting harder. And that's paying attention to the world around us. So many artists speak about needing to be open, to embrace experience. And that's hard to do when you have a lighted rectangle in your pocket that takes all of your focus. The filmmaker Mira speaks about growing up in a small town in India. Its name is Bhubaneswar, and here's a picture of one of the temples in the town.
In this little town, there were like 2,000 temples. We played cricket all the time. We kind of grew up in the rubble. The major thing that inspired me, that led me on this path, that made me a filmmaker eventually, was traveling folk theater that would come through the town. And I would go off and see this great battles of good and evil by 2 people in a school field with no props, but with a lot of, passion and hashish as well. And it was amazing. The folk tales of Mahabharata and Ramayana, the 2 holy books, the epic.
So it's frozen now, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop there. Good breaking point.